AscendTMS, the world's #1 rated TMS software. If you're responsible for ARAP, factoring, driver pay, and or commissions, this is the training for you. We will cover these topics and more in this accounting-focused training.
Hi everybody, welcome. We have not gotten started just yet. I was letting Jack know that this is interactive. My name's Maria. I'm going to be doing your accounting training today. Hey Eric, it looks like you can say hi.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. Eric, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can. I see it.
Perfect. All right. I am going to hold off for just another minute or so because I did have a ton of people sign up today that I do not see here yet, so I don't want to get too far into it. So if you guys don't mind, give me just a minute. If you have any upfront questions about accounting or AscendTMS to kill another minute or two and you'd like to ask, please feel free.
Yeah, it's just I just want to follow up if I can get a video later on.
Yeah, I'm recording this one and I will absolutely send that out. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Not a problem. All right. I'm not good at sitting patiently and waiting. I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to go ahead and probably get started here and we'll hopefully catch up anybody who shows up a little late. All right, let me get my screen opened up a little bit. Okay. And for those of you who can't talk, feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions if you have them. It is interactive. If you can't, there's a Q&A button. If you guys can use that one, that would be great, or the chat function as well. And I'll do my very best to get to all of those before this is over. All right. So you guys are looking at your accounting management inside AscendTMS. To get here, on the left-hand side, your main menu tab's in blue. Under your accounting tab, you're going to find everything we're talking about today. So we're going to come right back to the screen in just a moment. I'm going to kind of start at the top. Your ARAP report, your aging report, Ascend creates for you based on your invoices and bills, of course. This is exportable to Excel, so you guys can manipulate that data however you'd like. That's for your purposes. You have search options in both accounts receivable and accounts payable, so you can search to a specific customer or a load, even a date if I'm not mistaken. And this is here for you, okay? Very similar to what you might see in an accounting software like a QuickBooks, their aging report essentially. It's the same thing here. Now we're going to talk about your invoices, bills, and everything accounting. Then we'll jump into some commissions management, driver pay, and we'll finish off with a little QuickBooks stuff. So I like to first go over accounting management and kind of let you know the functionality in here. So let me go over that real quick with you. First and foremost, you've got 4 tabs in your accounting management: invoices, bills, reconcile and archive, and search archive loads, and we're going to look at all of them today. You have a lot of sorting and filtering options. Your up and down arrows, also referred to as up and down triangles, those are your sorts. Anywhere you see a little button like this one, it's a filter, okay? And there's several throughout. These are here to help you guys with your flow and your processes. So oftentimes when you come in to do something in accounting, you're coming in with a task at hand, whether it is receiving all of your carrier bills or your carrier invoices and you're logging all of those records, or you're coming in here to log payments. So we've put these filters in place to try to help you out, get to what you need, and shorten this list based on your filtering options. So if you guys ever have questions about that, if you have a flow that you are sorry, totally lost the word, accustomed to. That's what I meant. If there's a flow you're accustomed to, whether being in your previous system or just in general, your day-to-day, let us know and we'll help you work through the best filter setup or a very easy flow to use. Hopefully today you'll learn everything you need to know about accounting so you guys can rock and roll. So in your invoices, where we're going to start today, we're going to look at 182755. This is the load we're working on, my Restaurant Depot load. This is what I expect you guys to see whenever a load is sent over to accounting the first time before you touch it. The sent status to be unsent, invoice date unsent, due date not available. You should see the total and have a balance there for you. Reason those things come over that way is because we're expecting that your invoicing is happening out of accounting. If you're invoicing out of load management, there's a way to actually set those dates when you send the invoice. So you'll learn all about that in operations training and also some in utilities. But today I want to work through this load with you. So in accounting and other places of Ascend, you may have noticed, we have these little plus signs all the way to the left. These are expanders. So if you click on them, you're going to get an expanded section with some more information. I want to show you what's all in here. You have the ability to view an invoice as a PDF. If you have not looked at it before, if you want to review it, you can view your payment history. You can send this load back to load management for any reason, whether you need to make corrections or it was sent here by mistake. You're also going to get a snapshot of your load, the load status it was in, the branch, if it came over from a specific branch and you're utilizing branches. You'll get your pick location and your last drop visible to you, and your paperwork, which is going to be really important. So when I train anybody in accounting, I always say, when you're getting started, you're going to want to pop open that expander to double check your paperwork. But you're going to see that you might not need to do this because when you go to invoice, we have a fail-safe in place. Let me explain a little more of what I meant. So your operations team or whoever leading up to this load coming to accounting for you has been trained on uploading their documents and all supporting documents and how to process those things. Processing a document in Ascend is required in order for it to follow the load into accounting here, so that when you invoice your customer, you have the invoice and all supporting documents going over to them all at one time, which is of course what we want. So there is a little flag on the documents list, and I'm going to show you because we're going to head in there, that your ops team can click on after that paperwork has been reviewed and they mark it okay. That flag will trigger this here, the little green flag that says paperwork has been marked, reviewed, and okay. That flag will also be very helpful to you if utilized properly, because you do have a filter here on your invoice column to go strictly to the loads that have paperwork marked okay. Now, with that being said, it is possible that they've marked the paperwork okay, but in fact, you don't see your supporting documents, very similar to what I'm looking at right now. So in that case, if you do not see your supporting documents found, whether or not it's been marked okay, if you don't see anything found and you need to or expect to, what you're going to do is actually click on Review and Manage Supporting Documents. This will leave the load in accounting, but it will take you into the load documents themselves so that you can go ahead and upload if need be or process, and then head back onto accounting and continue your day. So let's take a look. This is the flag that I was talking about. I'm going to undo it. So it just says mark paperwork okay. Your ops team is taught to press that and then send the load to accounting, which is what it would say if it wasn't already in there. All right. So to process a document, in case you ever need to do this, if a step is missed, you're going to need 4 things. And right now, this document, my bill of lading, which is what I need, it actually looks like it's processed. So there's some reason why it's not showing up. And I set this up on purpose because this is the most commonly missed item when processing a document. So this is probably going to happen to you at least once, unless, of course, all of your team has been on these trainings and knows ahead of time. So processing a document requires 4 things. It requires the load, it requires the document to be attached to the load, for it to have a document name and a document type. The 4th piece of the puzzle is it needs to be attached to the customer on the load as well. So in this case, although this document is not accurate, my customer is Restaurant Depot. So all I did there is I popped my cursor in this drop-down field and I started to type my customer's name. Okay. And you want to make sure you choose the one with the people that says customer. I know it's kind of grayed out, so I hope you can see that. In the event that you also have locations with a similar or the same name, okay? Make sure you're attaching it to the customer. Whoops, and I just undid that. So let me put it back in. There we go. And when you're done, you need to save. All right. So what we're going to see now that I've added that final piece of the puzzle, that fourth item, I can just go straight back to my accounting. And now if I open this up again, that is what I'm looking to see. Found one document. All right. So that's what it'll look like when all your documents are processed fully. Again, that fourth piece of the puzzle, the customer, is the most commonly missed. Just so you know. All right. That being said, we're now going to invoice this customer, and I'm going to show you why you may not decide to pop open that expander every single time. Reason I say that. I'm going to select just this load for today, but please know that you can select multiple. You can invoice in bulk, okay, to the same customer. So once you've selected an invoice or invoices, you're going to see these prompts at the top of options that we have to choose from. One being emailing the invoice, which is what we'll do now. Another, exporting to QuickBooks, which we're integrated with QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop. Or also receiving a payment. And you may see the factor invoice button if you guys are linked up to one of our integrated factoring companies, Triumph Business Capital or Phoenix Capital Group, with a few more names to be added to that list very, very soon. All right, so we're gonna email, and this is why you may not use that little plus sign. It's completely up to you, but I want you to see it. So 5 steps takes longer for me to tell you than it will ever for you to do. You'll get into a flow. This will be really quick. The first one being reviewing dates, terms, and totals. So it is going to put today's date as the invoice date automatically, assuming that you're invoicing your customer today, correct? So what we need to do, if that needs to change for any reason, you can click on it, make your adjustments, and make sure you hit your green X to save. Same thing with the payment terms. That's being pulled from the customer's profile. If for some reason you've made an agreement that this one is different, or if it's inaccurate, you can click on it to change it. You'll also have a place here to preview your invoice as well, so you don't need to pop open that expander to see it beforehand. You can come in and do it here. And then in step number 2, the documents piece of that expander that I was talking about, it will catch. Here you have your final catch-all to say, okay, no documents found. Oh, it found my bill of lading, so that's what I needed. If you were looking for additional documents, you would see any processed documents here, not just client rate cons, bill of lading, proof of delivery. You're going to see any document, regardless of the type you selected, if it's processed in that way. Okay. Now, if your ops team is getting so good at processing that they're processing all your docs and you don't necessarily need them to be sent to your customer, you can click on this little paper airplane, the green one here that says include. If you click it, it'll change it to red and say exclude, which will keep it out of this email, okay? Third step being your recipients. Oh no, I did it again. I'm sorry. What you should see on this screen is first you're going to see your name and your email that you're logged into Ascend with, so you can send yourself a copy. And I said, oh no, because what you should see next is your customer's primary contact email. And unfortunately, I didn't get that in their profile. I'm so sorry about that. But you'll see their primary email would show up next, and any additional email contacts. So you know what? I'm going to hop over there and put one in, because I want to show you also how you would add an extra contacts and make sure that they show up in those lists. So I'm going to come into view customers for a minute. Forgive me, guys. Let me just change this really quick. Inside your customer profile, in the customer contact list, okay, your primary contact should be in place, sorry. And if you had any additional contacts, so if you go to add another contact, and we're gonna call this RTS factoring. Reason I'm doing this, as an example, if you guys are factoring with any other company that is not one of our integrated factoring companies, such as Triumph Business Capital or Phoenix Capital Group, let's say you're working with RTS or OTR or some other factoring company, you guys can still utilize Ascend and the emailing option in accounting, because as you saw and you will see again, you can send not only the invoice and all the load data, but all the supporting documents and everything that your factoring company requires in an email. So if they'll accept it via email, you'll want to do this. It'll save you some time, especially if you're new. And as you're adding in your customers, get in the habit of adding an additional contact. Once it's in place, you can name it your factoring company. Once it's in place, you're going to save the contact. And then you need to check off this box, include in contact email lists. Once that's done and you have saved at the bottom, that email will forever be an option every time you go to invoice this customer. So as a good rule of thumb, if you don't want to manually type your factoring company's email every time, go ahead and get them in there as additional contacts to each of your customers and every new customer that you set up. So that way it's in place for you, okay? So let's look at that one more time. We're going to email this invoice. If I wanted to change my invoice date, I can change my payment terms if I want to. I can even preview the invoice first. Step number 2, reviewing supporting documents. If I don't need to send it, I can click on that green paper airplane and change it to exclude. If I come in here and I do not see any documents, if they all say no docs found, you can go right back to your invoice list. You now know how to get back into the documents to finish that processing, okay? Step number 3, this is what it should look like. Your name will be first on the list, so you can send yourself a copy. Your customer's primary contact would show up second, and any additional contacts, okay, like this example of a factoring company, will show up here as an option, okay? You can always deselect them. If you don't want to go the route of adding in that factoring company's email to all of your customers, you don't have to. It's just a one-time setup kind of that's easier versus adding another recipient. But you do have the option. You can add another recipient at any time and put any email in there that you'd like. Step number 4, and the final one before we hit continue and tell Ascend to email these invoices off, is confirming and reviewing your email subject line and your email body. This kind of confused me when I started, so I just want to break this down for you. The template that's in place here, I misread it several times. What it's saying, your users are going to, or I'm sorry, your customers are going to get this, and this is the email they will read. Hello, let me know if, or please respond if you do not receive, cannot open, or you have questions about the attached. And then it's going to give them a breakdown of everything coming with the email. The invoice or invoices, if I had selected 20 Restaurant Depot invoices, it would show every single one of them there. And then it will also list all the supporting documents they can expect with this email as well. You guys can edit these templates. All you need to do is toggle over to edit template. My suggestion is always to leave this little document underscore list in place, because that one little line there is what gives them this nice breakdown of all the invoices and all the supporting documents. And I think that comes in rather handy. But you can tweak these words on the verbiage any way you like, add your callback number, anything that you prefer. You can even take that out if you don't like it. It can always get put back in. So once you're done and ready to go, you're going to hit continue, email invoices, and they are on their way. Now from here, when you go back to your invoice list, you're going to be taken to a page that looks like this, where it will show you the invoice or invoices, even if you were doing this from the bills. Once you take an action on something and that action is complete, like we just emailed, you'll be taken to this page. It tells you you're currently viewing the invoices that you had previously selected and lets you know you can deselect them if you're done performing actions. Once you're finished, you can click here to go back to your full invoice list. Now, why is that important? Well, if you have already preset some sorts and filters and you're working through a list, clicking here to go back to that is going to take you back to exactly where you were with all your filters still set and in place, okay? So I'm going to deselect this invoice. Now, if I had wanted to, I know some people will invoice their customer and then they'll immediately export to QuickBooks and go ahead and reconcile and archive, and then they handle all the payments in QuickBooks. That's okay. There's nothing that Ascend is going to ever force you to use in our software. We just want you to know the tools exist. You can utilize them however you'd like. So if that's you, this is a great place to be, because this page you can then take another action. So I can go right to exporting this and any additional invoices I had selected, if you had multiple, right to QuickBooks, and then I can clear it out and keep on going. So I'll deselect. It takes me right back here to where I was, and now you can see the sent on date is logged, the invoice date is logged, we've got our due date, and everything is in place. I'm going to fast forward in time here and assume that they have sent me a check now, okay? I want to show you guys how to receive a payment. So I'm going to reselect this invoice and receive a payment. The thing you're going to do here is put in the date you received the payment, the payment method. If you're using a check, or if they've paid via check, ACH, and you have a reference number, check number, something like that, go ahead and put it in. If you do not, we always suggest, sorry about that, we always suggest something is better than nothing. And so you can use the invoice number when in doubt. Let's say they partially paid you. For whatever reason, they've sent you only $1,000 for this load. In the fields here that says apply payment to balance, I can back that out and put in anything that they have sent me. So put in the actual amount I want to apply. I can add notes if I'd like. Notes are always optional. And then I'll save this payment. So we'll do partial. Actually, I don't need that. Remainder paid in 15 days. And I will save this. Now you should see my balance column has updated accordingly. The balance column has this really cool function to hover where it'll give you a quick breakdown of all the payments that are logged, the dates and the amounts. If you want to see more detail, you can expand that section there and view your payment history. This will show you the payment method, payment reference number, and any notes that were left. Okay, I do see a question coming in, so I'm going to take a peek at that. How would I receive this check? Okay, perfect. So, great question. The question is, sometimes I will pay 20 invoices at once, or rather the customer is paying for 20 invoices with one check, right? How would I receive this check? Great question. Let me see if I can set that up really quick. Give me just a moment to clear this out. So things like this are why I say you'll probably have different flows where setting these filters will be very helpful to you. So if you were paying, let's say 20 loads, and of course I just cleared out a bunch of my Restaurant Depot ones, so I'm going to use Amazon. You could put the search term of the customer's name in there to get right to what you're looking for. And I don't have 20 to select, but I'll grab all of these ones here. Okay, once they're all selected, whether you're emailing or receiving a payment, okay, it works both ways, but receiving a payment, this is what it'll look like. If they've paid, if that check lump sum is $7,350 and they've paid for everything, then you just put the check number in and you're all set to go. If they've paid for all of these, and maybe on one of the loads, it's a short pay, they didn't pay for all of it, whichever load that is, you can go into the apply payment to balance amount and make sure that you back that up. Then you're going to verify that the totals are correct and this is the amount you got on that check, okay? Any notes, again, are optional. You'll save that payment. I'm going to assume that this was actually paid in full. You'll save that payment. You'll be able to see this screen. Once you're all set, all your balances will update accordingly. Okay, I hope that answered your question. If it did not, please give me a little bit more detail and I'd be happy to address it again because I'm sure it will benefit someone else. All right, so let me get back here. Awesome, thank you, appreciate that. Okay. Now, let's see, I partially paid this one, so I'm going to go through that one more time with you, selecting the invoice, receiving a payment, payment date, payment method that they paid you with, a check number if you have it, a reference number, or if not, go ahead and use your load number, and apparently my fingers aren't working, my apologies. If you need to, if you've gotten short paid for any reason, or you need to apply a payment that is less than this balance, you're going to come into this field, back that amount out, and edit it accordingly. Okay, in my case, I want to pay this in full today, so I'm going to get right back to it. Notes again are optional, and then you'll save the payment. Now from here, from the screen, again, I can export to QuickBooks or do another action if I wanted to, okay? All right, let me deselect here. So that's invoices in a nutshell. Bills are gonna go a lot faster because it's very similar. So let's head over there. In your bills tab, the setup is slightly different because there is one upfront difference with bills. So here's our load, 182,755. As you can see, I can see the load expenses, but it tells me there's 0 bills. That's because there's 0 bills received. So I can't speak to whatever your flow is. I know most users will have a stack of bills that they're coming in to receive, and that's kind of a task that they do. So for you guys, you might want to set a couple filters in here. What I find most helpful when I'm coming to do that is I'll first set my balance to pay to balance outstanding. And actually you don't not that one, sorry. So you're gonna go to your amount billed filter and go to no bills received. And then you'll see everything that you need to receive. From here, you can filter down to the carrier, or if I'm talking to a carrier on this call, you can filter down to the asset driver by putting in their name. What I find very helpful in this page, because right now, all you have to click on is the plus sign, okay? And when you click that, it'll pop open the button that you need to record your received bills. What I find very helpful, because usually there's more than just 2 here, is these 3 little dots next to your search bar. It has an option to expand all rows. So instead of having to click at each and every plus sign, go ahead and just expand all those rows so the buttons are open to you. I can then record a received bill. So I'm gonna do this one first on this other Zoom Express load because I want you to see what happens. So I'll record this bill first, assuming of course I've got the carrier invoice in my hand. I'm confirming that the dates, the terms, the totals all match, putting in their carrier invoice number, a bill number, or a PO number if I have it to reference, making sure the payment terms match. If you guys are factoring, the payment method will be especially important. You have standard pay, quick pay, or pay when paid. I always go to standard pay because I'm not factoring personally. Notes again are optional. When you're done, you'll save this bill. Now, watch what happens. That load that we just did was not the one we were originally working on, if you recall. It was actually 1826 something. Now, why do I not see it anymore? I'd love to do a pop quiz and see if anybody knows. Unfortunately, I'm not really set up for that. So the reason I don't see it anymore right now is because I have a filter in place. So according to my filter, I'm looking at no bills received. So this is going to save you a ton of time. This one filter will help you work through these, and then you won't have to worry, did I already do that one? And it will keep falling off your list as you receive each bill. They'll fall off your list because they're no longer in the filter until you open that filter back up, and then you'll see them again, okay? All right, so let me go ahead and record this bill for Zoom. Again, reviewing the bill date, the bill amount, making sure these all match, putting in a carrier invoice number or a bill number if I have it, confirming the payment terms, payment method if I'm factoring, any notes, those are optional, and then I will save this bill. It looks like I might have, oh, okay. Sorry about that, guys. All right, let me clear this up so that we aren't looking at chaos here. Let me collapse these rows. Okay. Clear my selected bills. All right. So we're back to my fresh bills tab. No filter set. I have received this bill for Zoom Express. So now what can I do here with this bill? When I select a bill that's been received, I have 4 options again. I can edit the bill. This is especially nice if you guys need to make a change to the bill amount. Oftentimes, I personally don't edit. I prefer to delete the bill and then re-record it to let me start from scratch. That's just a personal option. So I want you guys to know you can do that. It doesn't delete the record of you owing them something. It just deletes the recording that you just made that you received the bill. All right, so you can delete in here. What else can we do? We can export this bill to QuickBooks. We can record a bill payment, which we're going to do. We can also, if you guys are signed up with Triumph and you've talked to them about Triumph Pay, it is an option, a cool service that they provide. Essentially, my simple version of explaining it, and doesn't really do it justice, but Triumph Pay is Triumph extending a line of credit to you where you can send over your carrier bills to them, they'll pay your carrier, and you can then pay Triumph back. Essentially, it's something like that with a lot of cool things in there. So if you're interested, definitely check that out. Today, we're going to record a bill payment so that I can mark I've paid Zoom. You'll see that this looks very familiar to invoices. You've got to mark your payment date, the payment method in which you paid your carrier or asset driver, a reference number if you have one, load number if you don't, the amount you want to apply payment to this balance. So if you're short paying for any reason, you can back that out and adjust it. Again, your notes are optional, and then you're going to save your payment. Now we should see balance paid in full. You've got that nice little hover over. This gives you a little bit more info there. All right. From here, now I understand that you guys aren't going to be paying the invoice, then paying the bill, and immediately going through all 4 tabs at once. The flows are going to be different, but when you have a fully paid and settled load, meaning your invoice has been paid by your customer and you've marked that it's been paid, your bill has been paid by you and you've marked it's paid, the next logical step is to reconcile and archive. Let me just quickly give you my version of archiving because I know some people have some hesitations there. Archiving with Ascend is 100% safe. What it does is it's going to remove these loads that have been fully paid and settled, or whichever you decide you want to archive. It's going to remove them from your live view. That way you don't end up with 500 pages of invoices and 400 of them being stuff you've already paid, right? It's a way to keep yourself organized and a safe place to keep your loads that have been completed and paid on. Archiving can still be reported on. It can always be unarchived. Essentially what it's doing is like with my iPhone. When I've got too many pictures or too many videos, it gives me a nice little, hey, your memory is getting low, send some to the iCloud, and it stores them to iCloud. Okay, your memory is not gonna get low in Ascend, but archiving is similar to that. So it stores them to a cloud server. Again, you can report on them and pull them back up. I'm gonna show you that now. So this tab is designed to always default to paid and settled because that's what we recommend. Now, I know there's a lot of users that won't mark certain things in their Ascend, whether it's because they export it to QuickBooks and do it from there or some other reason. If that's you, if you're not marking all of the payments in Ascend, when you guys get to this page, it'll always be blank, okay? Because that's the default. You can toggle over to all loads, and then it'll give you a view of everything that's in your accounting. You'll have to go ahead and expand and decide which loads that you're okay with archiving, right? But at least you have the option to do so. We recommend archiving, again, to keep things neat and clean. So let me go ahead and take this load we worked on today, 182755. When I select it, I have the option to archive. I can also send this load back to load management. If there's a reason why you guys want to do that, that is perfectly acceptable. I believe that button still exists today in Ascend because at one point, maybe we didn't have archiving when accounting was originally designed, which was well before my time here. So whenever Ascend builds new things and enhances the system, we don't take away buttons that a previous user is possibly still using today. We desperately try not to do that because we never want to take functionality away from you. So that's a good thing to know about Ascend. That's why you'll see buttons in certain areas that may kind of go, wait, why is that there? Most likely it's because someone somewhere is still using it. So we're going to archive today. It'll tell me when I choose archive this load, kind of the spiel I gave you. You're encouraged to archive fully paid and settled loads. If you ever need to, you can use the Search Archive Loads tab later to unarchive. I'm going to proceed. Now I'm going to show you in your Search Archive Loads tab. This one's going to hold your most recent 100 archive loads. So mine, our load today, 182755, will be right there at the top. I have the ability to open it up and expand it. I can even unarchive this load, okay? Additional to that, I don't ever really go in that tab other than when I'm training you guys so you can see it. I personally, when I'm looking for an archived load, I'm usually looking for it for a reason. So I always go to reporting and I do a load report. I just want to bring you in here so you can see that it can be done. 182755, I believe, or was it 775? We'll find out. All right, I can put the load number in. I just ran a search and it tells me no. That is because reporting is also defaulted to live loads. So if I check off that archive box, run my search again, there's the load we were working on. Now, because I'm an admin, and I'm assuming the people on this call are either admins wanting to learn accounting or you have some responsibility in accounting, so you'll probably have permissions to archive and unarchive. I say probably because we do have very granular permissions in a sense, so it's possible you have access to accounting but not access to archive or unarchive. If that's you, you might find that you can run the search like this and see it, but when you click on it, it might give you a little message that says you don't have permission. If you ever get one of those messages, get with the admin on your account and let them know. They can adjust your permissions. You can always call us as well and we can help you troubleshoot. But I wanted you to see, I clicked into this load. It tells me the load was locked. It even gives me the date and time. I can click here to unarchive because I have permission to do so. I also have visibility, even though it's locked, because I have permission, I can see this load. I can even get into load docs if I need to, okay? So it's there, you can report on it, you can unarchive it, totally safe. I see one question and I'd like to take deep breath as well. So I'm gonna take a brief pause. If you guys have questions about anything that we just went over, then please let me know. All right, if the invoice is short paid and $20 is still owed, how do we track that in your system? Great question. Okay, so let me see if I can set this up. I didn't really tell you. You would have probably known the answer to that question had I told you what I should have, which is when invoicing a customer, remember how I said I expect you to see unsent, not available until you invoice your customer? When you go to invoice, it sets those dates for you. When it sets those dates, it logs it on your ARAP. So 182701, if I go into ARAP right now, it would not be there. To get it on my ARAP, I would either need to invoice my customer or set the dates that I've done so. And once that's done, it will age. So if I had, let me do this for you so you can see it. Let's say they sent me 3,500. All right, so with this one, and I just broke my own rule, I didn't put a reference number, so do as I say, not as I do, guys. On this one, I have a balance of 367, 182701. So if I go in here, 182701, this remaining balance, that 367.70, is going to stay on my aging report and it will age as the time goes on. So you'll be able to see that they still owe you money. So your aging report will help you keep track of those things. Also, filters in here. Okay, you can sort the balance column. You can filter to balance outstanding. So if you don't like the ARAP view, I personally prefer the view in here because I'm so familiar with it. I like to work in here. You could filter to balance outstanding and then put in your customer's name, in my case, Budweiser. Okay, and then you can see all the loads that they still owe you money on, sorting by due date, which would make sense in my head, right? So they still owe this money to us. Hopefully that answered your question, gave you a couple different options, but if you want some more, certainly let me know. All right, guys, I am gonna segue us into driver pay management really quick. We'll go over commissions and talk about QuickBooks. Let's take a look at driver pay. Okay, for my asset team, if you guys are on this call, when you go to set up or when you go to run driver pay, because you want to get those driver settlement documents that Ascend will create for you, which are really nice, what you got to do first is put in your payroll, your date range, your driver pay payroll date range. I'm going to do something a little odd because I need to have some data. So you'll put in that payroll date, whatever it might be, and how you pay. Do you want to search that date range and pay based on pickup dates within there or delivery date? We do delivery date. At this point, you can select a driver. You can select multiple drivers. You can even do a select all. I'm going to tell you an insider trick. You don't even need to touch that. And personally, I'd like to train people not to. There's a reason. I'm going to leave it blank. Leaving it blank does the same thing as selecting all, and it eliminates the need to have to go back up there and change out the driver. Because as you see, that report criteria just collapsed. I can open it back up and change out the driver, or, whoops, sorry, I had my Zoom bar in the way, or you can sort between drivers here. So I don't like to go in and out of criteria and keep having to add and change. I leave it blank, run it for everybody, and then I do driver by driver. Now let's explain what you're looking at here. And I apologize, you're seeing a bunch of crazy deductions right up front, but we're gonna look at a screen that's gonna be more specific to what we need. In here, you can customize your columns. I have a trackpad, so let me take you over to the right. You'll see there's tons of columns in here. Some I don't even have visible on mine, but you can customize this view by clicking on that. It'll give you a list of all the columns that we have available. The green check mark means you want to see it. If you change that to a red X, it means you do not. The 3 lines on the left, you can click and hold, drag and drop to reorder those columns. So bring anything up to the top that you want to see right in the forefront without having to slide over to the right. And then when you're done, my apologies, I'm so sorry guys, I'm home. Sorry about that noise. When you're done, you want to save the changes. All right, and once you're all set, now I don't customize mine. I'll admit, I just don't. The reason being is because I have enough with these drop-down options that I don't need to. So let me explain these to you. Show all load statuses. If for some reason you guys are using load statuses as a way to signal how you pay, you can use this drop-down. We do not. When you click this drop-down, it's going to show you all the load statuses that exist within all the criteria results. So in these 6 pages that I have for driver pay, I only have 4 load statuses that exist on them, okay? Now, I don't use this, like I said, but it might come in handy if you're using load statuses for a different reason. Now, the show all statuses drop down right next to it. This is referring to the paid status column. It's referring to the status that the driver pay is in, whether it is still pending your approval, whether it's something that has previously been approved, it'll look like this, something that has already been paid, or something that's been marked do not pay, which I apparently don't have any. Those will come in handy. I'll give you some use cases for those in just a minute. And again, the show all drivers so you can filter between them. You do have the search function here. This is very intuitive. So you can try driver name, date. You could search by load status. You can put in all kinds of things here. You can utilize that. And before you do anything, you'll see you do have an export option. So you guys can export this to Excel. That's meant for you guys to use internally however you'd like. The driver pay settlement report that I cannot access right now, that's what you're most likely coming in here for. Reason I can't access it is, number one, to get that PDF document, you have to be in single driver mode. So we're gonna look at Vince today. Let me get there. Now it's gonna show me that I have that option, and actually, let me do this. There we go. It's gonna show me I have the option, but when I click on it, it's going to say no paid items found to export. The only thing that goes on those settlements are items you've marked paid, whether they are a deduction or something that you're paying on. So let's take a look at Vince's together, and we'll get him paid here. So he's got 2 here in the front that show up as a deduction, although I don't know what they are yet. He's also got several loads that fit that criteria. We're only going to pay him for a couple to save some time here. But again, you've got those little plus sign expanders all the way to the left. you'll click on those to open up and expand that area so you can see, okay, for load 182753, I can see he's getting paid $600 because that's the percentage of the load income. That's the line item. This will be very handy if you want to make sure that the accessorials and everything for that load are in there and that figure is in fact correct. Okay. Again, that'll come in really handy with deductions. I can see he's getting a $250 deduction, but I don't really know why. So let's take a look. Okay, that one is a fuel advance. So we advanced Vince some money and we're going to take that out of his check. Now, how do we get those settlement documents? So you need to mark them as paid, as I mentioned. To do so, you're going to select anywhere on that row. It'll highlight in yellow, and then you'll see these options at the top now. We still have that export option, but we've got 3 more. You can mark this approved. You can mark it as do not pay, or I'm sorry, mark it as paid, or mark as do not pay. Again, those are these status drop downs here, the paid status. So there's a couple reasons why you might mark them approved. Approving these are optional. You do not have to. But let me tell you the 2 use cases I can think of why you would use approved. If you are the boss, if you're the admin and you're the one making the decision whether or not these drivers can be paid, but someone else in your accounting team comes behind you to get the driver pay settlement report and pay them, to actually give them that, if somebody else has that job, you're going to mark them approved. That way, that person can come into driver pay, sort to everything you've approved, and know those are the things that they can pay. Another reason why you might use this is if you're like me, you guys have already seen me make some silly mistakes. I'm very forgetful. So when I'm working through this list, I will probably mark them approved as I go because I know that I oftentimes get distracted. And if I get a phone call and I have to move away from this page, then I come back, I put my driver pay criteria in again, and I'm looking at this list. I want to know that I've already reviewed these and not have to go back through that process. So if that's you, if you're like me, for sanity's sake, you might want to mark them approved. Again, optional, you don't have to. Marking as do not pay, you may not ever use that, but again, that comes in really handy. So if you're looking through these and you don't want to pay them for some reason, maybe you're investigating an accessorial or you're holding on it for the next pay period, go ahead and mark them as do not pay. That way you have the ability to filter to those and make decisions from there. We're going to mark it as paid, putting the payroll date, which for me is tomorrow. I will set that. All of your driver pay items, as this is saving. Sorry guys, this is my internet at home. It's quite slow. I'm trying my best to get it faster, but it's been unsuccessful for me. But as we're waiting, so when you, what was I saying? When you mark them as paid, totally lost my train of thought. Anyways, let me move on and we'll do another one here. I want to mark this deduction, okay? It looks like somebody else is in my system, guys, working with Vince Johnson. So forgive me, I might have to scrap this and switch it up. Let me do that. Let's see. No, you know what? All right, I can work with this. We'll do Brian. He has already got these 2. Nope. Here we go. I can work with it. The reason that I'm hesitating is because only the things that are marked as paid show up on the PDF, and because I'm going to show you that, I might run into a situation where something shows up I'm not expecting. It looks like one of my partners is in here, but all right, we marked this one. Today's payroll dates. I also want to look at these deductions, okay? So I've got this approved deduction, which we looked at. This one's an insurance. I wanted to see this one here. There we go. This fuel advance. I want to make sure this hits this paycheck because I advanced him and it needs to come out. So he's getting paid for loads. I'm going to take this and I'm going to mark it as paid as well. Even though it's a deduction, it does need to get marked as paid in order to show up on that settlement. it will do the math and take that out as a deduction, which you'll see. So let me just get this one in here. So we have one deduction to show up, and I'll show you that PDF. Come on, computer, don't let me down. There we go. All right, so I'm going to export this real quick. And what we will see on here is only the loads that were marked paid. So we ended up with 2 because my partner got one in there on me. And then here you see the deduction as well. So what it'll do, it'll lay out each row will be 1 load or deduction. And you'll have an additional row if you had more than 1 line item. So the driver will clearly know why he's getting paid why he's getting paid that for that load. So what I mean is if load 182753 had percentage of gross load income as well as an accessorial like tonneau or deadhead or something else, if it had an additional, it would list load 182753 again and show them the description of that accessorial. So that way they know exactly why that amount is what it is. And you don't have all those questions. Bear with me, I gotta get out of full screen to get us back there. Okay, here we are. So I don't know if you guys have any questions about driver pay, but that was driver pay in a nutshell. Hopefully that was very helpful to you. And if you do have questions, please let me know. I'm happy to go over on a one-on-one basis to suit your needs as well. That being said, unless I get any questions coming in, I've already hopped over to commissions management so we can get through this for you as well. Obviously, as we talk about commissions management, if you're using it, you've already set up your roles, your commissionable roles in Ascend. And of course, those roles are being assigned to the user who is getting the commission and to these loads that they need to be getting commission on. All that stuff, I teach you how to do in admin training. If anybody would like to see that, I have recordings, or you can join me on Mondays at 2 p.m. Now, 2 p.m. Eastern. For driver pay, can I pay a flat rate? Yes, absolutely. You're going to pay whatever terms you use for your line item descriptions is what'll show up there. That load that we were looking at, Shannon, it just so happened that driver gets paid a percentage. That's how we pay him. All of our drivers, because they're imaginary, they all get paid a little bit different. We set it up that way. So some of them get flat rates, some get mileage, some have percentage, and you can set those to auto add to your load whenever the driver is assigned to. So I believe that that's taught to you in utilities, but I'm happy to teach you as well. So hang tight with me for this training and we can go look at that in a little bit, okay? I see one more question coming in. Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Okay, guys, commissions. Again, you have the ability to customize your columns because there are several over here. This one has an extra drop-down status, which will soon be added to driver pay. But this one has the extra drop-down of invoice statuses because a lot of times you don't pay your agents until, of course, you get paid. So you have the ability to go look at only the commissions that you have already been paid for by your customer. That's the first thing I set because that's how we pay. Might not be how you guys pay, but it is there in case you want to use it. Maybe you don't pay unless, of course, you've invoiced your customer. So in that case, you'll go to cents, okay? The other drop downs, show all statuses. This is referring to, again, the paid status of the commission. So if you want to go looking for only those that have been pending approval, that's going to be me today. And then we have the show all users to go between all of my users who exist in my system and show all roles. So these are all the different roles we have in our Ascend. Again, you have the search function, and before anything, you do have the ability to export those to Excel for yourself, manipulate that data however you'd like, and you have that export to commissions to PDF, which you can see right now. I can't get to because, of course, I'm not in single user mode. So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to look at Wendy's commissions today. I never get to pick on Wendy, so here we go. She has the sales agent role. Her role is percentage of gross profits. Okay, I can see here The rate amount she gets is 10%. The commissionable amount, okay, so this is the profit I've made on those loads. The commissionable amount would show differently. If your rate type was percent of revenue, it would show you the revenue on that load. Okay, so whatever that is, it'll show you here, and then it'll show you the commissions total in which she's going to get. Now, if you guys ever need to make changes, because if you have permission into commissions management, I'm assuming you'll be able to edit these commissions. If you ever need to make a change, maybe for some reason we decided she's getting 15% on this load, I can select it and edit the commission. Okay, that's an extra option we have in commissions management. So you do have your approve, mark as paid, and mark as do not pay, similar to driver pay management, but you also have edit. So what this will do when I choose edit is it will allow me to edit the commission. And if you guys have been familiar with setting up your roles, this is kind of that little formula that you set them up. So if in fact on this load, she was gonna get 15%, I can manually override it for just this load. All right, so we'll let that adjust her commission, and I can see she's getting 15% on this load. So she's gonna be really happy. I can now select all of the loads I'm going to pay her. Okay, and we do have the select all function in commissions management. Shannon, girl, since I know you have asset drivers, please hang tight. That's coming to driver pay. Don't worry, it's coming. And I can select all, and now I can go ahead and take my action if that's what I wanted to do. All right, so I'm gonna skip approve for this one. I'm just gonna go right ahead and mark these as paid. Actually, no, since you guys can see this a little bit clearer and nobody's in here yet, I'll leave that one on the top. I'm gonna leave that out. So we'll mark everything else as paid for tomorrow. Let Ascend do its little dance there in the background. All right, so now I don't see those things. I'm gonna have to open up my filter, all right, in order to see them. But now you see this one's still pending approval, 182638. So when I export this paid commission report to PDF, 182638, that is pending approval, will not be on there. We will only see those 4 loads. There we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 638 is not on there. Breaks it down nice and clear for them, and you can give this over to your agents with their check or however it is that you pay them. All right, so let me get back in here. Guys, I'm gonna give you a quick run through of QuickBooks because I'm gonna be the girl you talk to most likely, although any of my support team can help you, but I'm your go-to girl when it comes to QuickBooks. I'll help you get it set up. The integrations work a little different between QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online, okay? So I wanna break down those differences, and then when you guys are ready to go, reach out to us, we'll help you get it set up. The QuickBooks Desktop, this one supports IIF files, okay? That is how our integration works. The way that these work, if I were to select a load or loads and export to QuickBooks, it's going to, well, there we go. Sorry, I clicked it twice. It's gonna give me these little IIF files. Then I would open up my QuickBooks Desktop. I would do an import and get those files right in. The thing to know with QuickBooks Desktop right now, you can export your invoices and your bills. With QuickBooks Online, you have the ability to export your invoices and bills, as well as invoice payments. That's hooked up right now. Hoping to have bill payments hooked up really soon. QuickBooks has made some changes, so we have a new project coming in real soon, hopefully, to enhance that. So I wanted you guys to know the difference. The other big difference with QuickBooks QuickBooks Online rather, is you guys have, I won't be able to show you, but you guys have, what'll show up is when you connect to your QuickBooks Online, it'll pop up this screen right here. You'll sign in, okay? And then it'll ask if you are approving Ascend to have access, and you'll have to approve. What will happen next is you'll get 3 additional tabs that show up once you are connected. It'll be mapping pay items, mapping customers, and mapping your vendors, which are your bills, your carriers, or your drivers. They refer to them as vendors in QuickBooks. Do not feel like you have to map do not feel like you have to map all of those things. The only thing you have to map ahead of time is your pay items. The good thing with that mapping, and why I like QuickBooks Online a lot, is you have access to the mapping. Okay, we have to do the desktop mapping for you based on your chart of accounts, and we do work with you to do that. We can change it at any time you need. So it's not me trying to say that you won't have access to the mapping, because you always will. You've got us. But I like the hands-on access, so I can control it. The nice thing about QuickBooks Online as well, you only have to map your pay items. When you go to export a new customer that you've never exported out of Ascend, or the first time you go to export your customer, if it doesn't exist already in your QuickBooks and we don't have a place to map it to, you will see a screen that says, hey, this doesn't exist in your QuickBooks, and it'll have a little link that says, click here, we'll set it up for you, and then go ahead and export it. We'll take your customer information from your Ascend and send it over to QuickBooks. It'll build that for you, and you can export right away. So you don't have to go in there and manually add all your customers. I'm trying to save you guys a little time and manual effort wherever I can possible. So hopefully that's helpful. When you guys are ready to kick that off, if you want some QuickBooks training to see how those things work, the IIF files, I would be happy to do that with you. I think they're better suited on a one-on-one basis because, of course, you're talking about your finances, and I don't like to do that live with multiple people involved. So out of respect for you, please call me when you're ready to do that, or shoot us a little message. You guys have this help feedback section here that you can get help. That'll send a message to us or take you into our knowledge base, which you can also access by clicking on Learn. In here, contacting support will open up a support ticket. My entire team, including myself, will get that. So you can just say, hey, I'm ready to integrate my QuickBooks. We'll reach out and connect with you and get you all set up. While I'm in here, let me just plug our knowledge base for 1 second, guys. I'm sure you might have been in here already if you personally registered yourself for training, okay? All of our trainings are totally free. My partner Steve is doing utilities and operations, which is Tuesday and Wednesday. Those are very, very valuable trainings in my opinion. I really think you should get on those if you haven't already. You're gonna learn a lot about the system there. And I do the admin on Mondays. These are always free to you guys, so please sign up for as many as you'd like, whenever you'd like. Even my premium users that have been with us for years, I believe I have one on here right now today. So don't ever be ashamed. Jump in. We add stuff all the time. If you want to have a quick tutorial, like you've been with us for several years and you want to get a heads up of what's new and happening, jump on a tour. Additionally, in here, you'll have an article for just about every stinking thing you can do in Ascend. And coming very soon, we're going to have a frequently asked questions section with our new tips and tricks series that our media department has started. I'm super excited for it. Use this search, type in anything you want. QuickBooks, that's a good one as an example. I'll search for that. You will see 3 articles: QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop, and then an additional one for 2019 and 2020. Because of course, since it's not our software, we don't have control over when they update, and they've made an adjustment in 2019. So everything moving forward does get treated a little different. So we do our very best to always have knowledgeable articles in here for you to help. Additionally, you might see, let me get back there. Additionally, you might see a nice little how-to video. This one has a great step-by-step getting integrated with your online and step-by-step instructions with pictures for you. I just wanted you guys to know it's there. I'm going to zip it now. I want to open the floor to you. I know Shannon is probably going to hang out with me to talk about some driver stuff, so anybody else who'd like to, please feel free. If you guys are going to take off now, I'll leave you with our number. If you ever need, you guys have a premium support line to reach us. That number is going to be 813-681-5000. You can use option 2 for premium support, okay? Even in trial, you guys are premium users. If I have anybody in Ascend Basic on this, you can use it too. I won't be mad. Just ask for Maria if you want to get a human on the phone. All right, that number again, guys, 813-681-5000. Option number 2 gets you premium support. If you ever want to call me direct, my extension is 1348. I'm happy to take your calls and help you out wherever I can. So otherwise, Anybody who needs to leave, have a great day. Thanks for hanging in. I know I went over 45 minutes, so I really appreciate you for hanging tight with me. Hope you learned a lot. I'm always here for questions. Anybody else? Floor is yours. Let me know how I can help. Shannon, I don't know if you have a... Oh, Eric, I'm so sorry, sir. I see you come off mute. Did you have a question?
Yeah, no, it's just the probably I have to go, but you don't mind send me a video?
Absolutely not. Nope. It's going to take a little bit to process, so you'll get it before the day's over, Eric. I'll send it over to you, okay?
All right, appreciate it.
Not a problem. Have a great day.
You too, thank you.
Thank you. Shannon, my girl,
Yes,
can you talk to me? Yay! All right. I was like, oh, I hope to God she has a microphone. It's so much easier.
Yeah,
I have one other user on here, Paulos.
Okay.
Is he with you?
No.
Okay, Paulos, if you're still here, let me ask, are you hanging out for driver pay stuff? And if so, please send me a little message or unmute if you can and let me know what you'd like to see. Otherwise, I'm going to let Shannon kind of run the show and let her direct me where she wants to go. But please, please chime in the Q&A section or the chat if you want to see something specific too. He might just be hanging out in hopes that you ask the question that he wants to know. So hit me with your questions, girl. What you got?
Just if you could just show how I would pay the drivers,
Okay.
set up their profile. too.
Yeah. So let's go into assets real quick. I know I mentioned you're going to get that select all feature soon. That's just one of the few things we're going to be enhancing in our driver pay. I have a huge project with a lot of asks that I've given my team because I did all the carrier training all last year. That was mine. And so I got to see and a lot of feedback of things that we can enhance. So we're going to get that project done this year. I'm super excited. So
Right.
in here, what you're going to do, I'll use Brian. Let's see well, I'll just use myself. How about that? Let's look. I have next to nothing in this profile, but there's nothing mandatory. Okay. What you will want to put in is their name, their email, and their phone number for sure.
Okay.
Everything else is up to you. You can utilize this as much as you want. You've got places for driver safety. You can keep an infractions log.
Nice.
At the top, you can upload all their documents and be able to access those really quickly. Down here at the bottom, this section. So it's completely up to you. Do all your drivers, how many drivers do you have, and do they all get paid the same way?
We have 7 drivers and they're paid on commission. And we also have about 7 or 8 sub-haulers.
Like owner ops, kind of?
Yes, owner ops, yes.
Okay. And those guys, do they get paid flat rates?
Yes.
All right. So you can do 2 things. You can either come into the profile and do it at the bottom. All right. Or you can do from your view driver screen, you can do it as a whole. So you could do manage driver pay and manage driver deduction items. I like this one because it'll let you add it to multiple drivers at once. So you can put all the drivers that get paid that percentage, if they all get paid that same rate, and get it all done versus going in and out of each one.
Nice.
You do have the option when you're in a driver profile. You do have the option down here at the bottom. I can copy pay items from another driver, but sometimes people like to do it from the other way. So I just wanted you to see it.
Okay.
So for their pay items, we're going to add a new one. You said they get paid commissions. You're talking about a percentage, correct?
Our employees, yes.
You're okay. And do they get a percentage of the load?
30% of the load.
Perfect. So you're going to choose this percentage of total load income. This description is however you want it to be on their driver pay sheet. How do you want it to show up? Do you want it to say percentage of load income? You can type that back in.
Okay.
Do you want it to say something else?
Percentage is fine.
Okay, and you can add whatever you'd like in here. So you'll see it says create new description. If I just click on it or hit enter, it will log that so then I can use it again.
Okay.
They get 30%. So it tells me, I've got my example here. I'm just going to type in 30. And then this one, automatically add pay item whenever the driver is selected. That's going to be your best friend.
Okay, right.
So that, yeah, it's just one less manual thing that you have to do. So that means when you get to that part of load building, which happens before financials, you add the driver. Then once you get to financials, that pay item will already be there for you.
Okay.
All right. Now for your other guys, your owner ops, they get paid a flat rate. So you can choose whichever option. Let's see. You can do, I would do probably, geez, that's a good one. I haven't thought about this in a while. Like I said, I haven't done carrier focus training since 2019, but how it should be calculated. I'm probably looking right over it, or I'm overcomplicating it myself. And the more I look at it, I'm not going to be much help.
I don't see anything generic, just...
I don't either, but I know there's a way to do it, and I don't know why I can't. It's not coming to me. Let me get back to you on that. My partner will probably know instantly when I ask him. I am having a total mental block. And I will call you back on that one. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. Are you putting your owner ops in as asset drivers?
I didn't know if I could.
You can. So the question to you is, will you want to do the settlement sheets for your owner ops? And if the answer is yes, then you're going to need to add them in as drivers, and you could just add a note or you can choose owner ops.
Okay.
Okay. That'll give you more functionality than adding them in as an outside carrier.
Okay.
I think you'll prefer that way. Because you've got the auto add options, you could do deductions when you need to, and you'll be using that same program. All right.
Occasionally, we'll get a markup on one of our rates, but we'll still want to pay the driver the normal rate that they do.
Awesome.
How will we go about it?
Good question. I love that question. Hang on one second. I will show you. So let me see. I don't know what this load is. So, okay, good. It's an asset load. He's getting $13,000. I love when I make stuff up. All right. So if this were the case, he gets net income percentage of 65 as his percentage rate. Okay. So let me make this more legit. Hold on.
Okay.
Does Chip have that as a pay item is the question. Nope. Let me find somebody who does. Or I'll just add it to Chip. Huh, that is what it is. He just titled it net income percentage. I'm such a dork. Sorry.
You can't read mine, so.
Right? Oh, goodness gracious. All right. So let me get him back in here. Good grief. Yeah. And just so you know, in this list, by the way, you and your team, you can set custom pay items for anything to be used for your customers, percentage items like quick pay chargebacks. You can do all kinds of things. There's a place in your settings. It's called edit your drop-down list where you can add your own custom pay items if they're not for your driver. So when you add stuff for your driver, whenever you come into this drop-down, you'll have a driver items at the bottom of your list. So
can we add a quick pay percentage to the customer profile so we don't have to add it for each invoice?
I wish you could. There's not an auto add option with customers right now, but that's an awesome request. If we don't already have it in place, which we probably do, but if we don't have it requested, I will open a request today because I like that one.
And then earlier you also mentioned, so my accountant prefers desktop, QuickBooks desktop.
Mm-hmm.
And so, unfortunately, that has limitations for us with the integration, it sounds like. So when you said, so if I receive payments in Ascend, I'll also receive invoices and checks in Ascend. I'll also have to do that a second time in QuickBooks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So it's not really I don't want to use the word limitations because that makes it sound like it's a lacking integration. But when we integrated with them, that was the option that we had at the time. I believe those options have changed. So there is a later project to be worked on by my team for more options via that integration. But really what you can do, we always teach you that it's best to keep everything matching, right? All your payments matched in your Ascend and in your QuickBooks. You want everything to match. I can tell you, Shannon, probably half, if not more, of my users are not doing that because they don't want the double entry. So they will invoice their customer, record their bill, then they'll export everything to QuickBooks and they'll archive the load in here. Then they'll do all the recording of payments made or received in their QuickBooks. And whenever I've asked them, do you ever get concerned that it doesn't match in both systems? They said no, because their preference is QuickBooks, being that's their financial accounting software. That's what they need to be accurate. So that being said, you can do that as well. If your accountant is more fond of desktop and that's what you're already set up for, there's actually a lot that we can do with mapping. Like I can map pay items to go to sub accounts, specific accounts, different areas. I have a lot of control with the mapping, so I can work with you and your accountant to get that done. And then you guys can make the decision, but yeah, you don't necessarily have to mark them paid in your Ascend. So if that's something that you guys want to talk about, that might be worth a discussion.
And it's nice, I have control over when items are exported.
Yes, you do. Yep.
Okay. And the only other thing I was thinking is, and I don't know if this creates room for error or if it's too much work, but maybe like at the end of like transfer maybe receivables once a month, like a lump sum.
Yeah.
Or has anyone tried to do that?
Oh yeah, people do that all the time. It just is dependent on when does your accountant need it. And because if, let's say hypothetically, let's say you go the route of you're not going to mark your payments in Ascend and she's going to do that in there. It's just going to be, when do you need to get all those invoices over to your accountant so that they start aging properly in your QuickBooks? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because your aging in Ascend starts as soon as you have an invoice date. But if I imagine that it goes off the invoice date anyways in QuickBooks, so it shouldn't really matter when you send it, but I would just talk to them about what flow is going to make the most sense. But can you export in bulk? Absolutely. You can do a lot of bulk actions in Ascend.
Okay. Because I was just thinking, I like Ascend for the dashboard, where it shows me a quick view of what's the 30 days and so on. That's one of the appeals of your software, and so you kind of take away that feature when you're doing the exports. So I don't know, I have to figure that one out.
No, because when you export to QuickBooks, this is still going to give you your revenue and your profit regardless if it's exported or not. It's giving you the revenue based on your loads in Ascend. It doesn't matter if you've exported it. This That's financial true. Yeah, so it's giving you a quick look at what you've done in the last 30, 90 days, year to date.
Okay, that's revenue. It's not so much the other AP.
Yeah,
AR.
What I think you're talking about was this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, this might you'd have to play with it to decide, but I have some people that like this better than QuickBooks Aging Report, and I have others who won't even look at this and they just use QuickBooks. So it's really whatever you like. Right. But yeah, it'll age here as well. So if your accountant's cool with you sending over everything on, let's say, the 1st and the 15th and just sending over exports in bulk, you can do that. or whatever flow works for you. When you come up with those flows, if you've sat down and you're like, all right, this is what I'm going to do for this task. This is what I'm going to do when I want to record all my bill payments, like that demo that I gave on this is how you would set your filter and then expand the rows, those little insider little tips. If there's some way I can help you once you know what you want to do, if you want to just call and say, hey, this is what I want to do. Tell me what's the best way to accomplish that. Happy to help.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Did you have any other questions about driver pay or anything else that I could help with?
The only other thing that I'm missing is when the drivers, like, and I know this is probably under the webinar for operations, but when, how do you have a device or a specific app that drivers download on their cell phones so that they can import or upload their documents into the system?
Really good question. I've got a couple options. We do not have an app for Ascend right now, but it can be used on any device, cell phone, tablet, computer, just because we are cloud-based. So the suggestion is, even if you have an iPhone, like on my iPhone, I've downloaded Google Chrome because Google Chrome is the best browser to use Ascend in. That's where we do all of our development and coding and everything like that, and that's where I can test stuff. So definitely use Google Chrome. When it comes to uploading documents, we have a couple options. You can use our request documents from driver. This will send the driver a text message. And what it does is it tells them, please take a picture of each page and text it back. Then when they text it back, it will show up. You'll get a little notification and your last contact column will update. You'll see that you've received something, like this one says Chip at, we contacted Chip, but when he responds, it'll say Chip responded or whatever it is. And what's even cooler is it'll automatically show up in your documents. And I don't have one to show you, but it'll show up the document. It'll say uploaded source,
I understand.
text. Yeah. The other things that we have some integrations with some partners that have that, like, oh gosh, where did my brain just go? I believe Trucker Tools has document options included in their tracking options as well. They have two products, Smart Capacity and Load Track. I know we are currently in a project, and TransFlow is another big name that a lot of people use for document scanning and things like that. That one will be live in our system in a couple weeks. I'm super excited. Well, not a couple weeks. I'm sorry. It's the next release, so maybe more than a couple. But about a month or so, that project should be wrapped up. We do have...
Well, those require subscriptions, right?
Yeah. So if you want the free option, use the request for documents for now and test it, because it's really nice. A lot of people hear, oh, they have to take a picture and it's not going to be good quality or it won't work.
Right.
It is, as long as they have a decent phone and take a decent picture. But it is very good quality, and you have, when it comes back in, there's a re-request button. If it's out of illegible or something, it'll tell them, please send it, we can't read it.
Nice.
The other thing too, and I hate to do this to you because essentially I'm giving you one more thing to look at that's brand new, and also it's a workaround, but our carriers like it so much that they use it. So the Ascend portal we created, we had very high demand for a carrier portal first. So that is what this is. It's a carrier portal. My carriers utilize it so that they can use it as a driver portal. Essentially, it's what you had originally asked me. It's not an app, it's still a website, but it's their own login. And it functions like an app on your phone. The functionality is a lot cleaner than Ascend, because we designed it that way to be app-like. And they have a ton of options in there that will automate a lot of your day-to-day. Like, they have what's called a truck status update button, and they can go do a truck status update and say, arrived at pickup location.
Nice.
And by my settings, when they do that, it'll automatically change my load status to in transit, and it'll show me at pickup, whatever I specify. And you can get real intricate with it. They also have I'll show you my portal, hold on. They also have an uploaded place to upload documents. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. So this is what the portal looks like. And again, on your phone, I tested this on my iPhone and my significant other's Google Chrome. I love the functionality because I'm a millennial and I like the app kind of functions where they're very clear and buttons versus being in a website.
Right.
So when they are here, they've got tendered loads. So when you build a load, there's a button right next to it. If you were to use this that says tender load to, it will say carrier for right now. We're coming out with a driver portal later, but I just want you to know this is here. And as a thought, they'll get tendered loads. They'll get an email, hey, you have a new load. So they'll come in here, accept it. It'll move over to active. I'm giving you a super fast run through, but they've got, this truck status log.
Sure.
And that communicates directly with your Ascend. They've got documents where they can upload docs. And what's nice, if they can, on their phone, they'll have the little camera button that they can shoot or select from an image they already have. And this is not an image, but let's just see. They can even tell you what type of document it is. So it'll come in tagged accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
And they have visibility into what they're being paid. They can even propose financial changes, which is more of a benefit when you're talking outside carrier, but if they're your drivers and you allow your drivers to call these places to set their own schedule, they can do that. You can give them permission to do that. And when they do that, it'll communicate back to you. So you don't have to go hounding them for what time did you call? Did you do it?
Nice.
Right. So there's a lot of cool functionality in there, but it does require a little different setup. So if you're even remotely interested, come check it out in your settings and do this. Go to our knowledge base article here and take a look at this one that says, see how Ascend Portal can automate your everyday tasks. Mm-hmm. If you're remotely interested, before I go through how to get it set up for you, watch this webinar. It's just over 20 minutes if I'm not mistaken, but my partner plays the broker in Ascend and I play the carrier in the portal, and you'll see how the two communicate. You're just going to have to know that, of course, we're speaking as if he's a broker and I'm a carrier, and we'll tweak it a little for you. But yeah, the carriers just love it, and so they're okay with the workaround because they really love the functionality. It allows a lot of automations. Right. So I thought I'd throw that out there. But use that request docs for driver. I think you'll like that one.
Okay. So my last question, so I'm not a millennial and neither is my partner. So when we start talking about clouds and suns, it scares us when it relates to technology. Yeah, I know. One thing I do like about desktop, even though it's sort of, antiquated systems, it's, whether or not you have the internet or not, your data is there. Yep. Right. So how do we become confident in this cloud-based system to where we're willing to take the risk and take the leap? Yeah, so that's a very valid and good question. Of course, I'm not in sales, so I don't have the perfect pitch right back to you, but I'll be honest with you. We use Amazon Web Servers, so if that helps at all, that significantly helps my hesitations, because I can tell you, even as a millennial, I'm on the higher side of millennials, but even as one, I still get very concerned because I've been hacked before or I've lost my data before. So cloud-based does concern me. With Ascend, I don't worry about that because we use Amazon Web Servers and we back up everything at least 15 minutes, if not shorter times than that. So the cloud server we own, and it's, everything gets backed up there. All your data can be sent right back to you at any time. I don't really know what else I could tell you other than I could get you some more info on the cloud server if it would be helpful, or maybe some
contacts of some references that might have been hesitant before but have come to love it. If that would be helpful too, I'd very happily grab some names and numbers for you.
Well, the fact that you told me you guys are using the Amazon web server and Amazon is still going even through this pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah. So girl,
You know?
let me break this down. So Amazon, in the whole time that we've been with them and on their servers, they've never gone down, ever. And I don't know of a time where Amazon Web Services has gone down. And if they do, it's Johnny on the spot, because that is their bread and butter. They have to be live in order for Amazon to succeed. So that is why we went with them. There was another.
Yeah. So basically, if Amazon crashes, then the whole world is probably crashing.
Correct. yeah, pretty much. But we back up on our own servers as well. We back up your data, so everything is stored somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can rest assured. I don't know if you heard about Truck Stop. They went down recently. It was either right before the pandemic or right when it started. I can't even remember anymore. But when they went down, they do not use Amazon web servers. They went down and they were out for weeks. So we were very proud that we were still where we're at. And it just reassured our confidence that, you know, Amazon had one thing, I think it was right when I started, where they had some delays, but it lasted a matter of, less than an hour, and we were right back in action. And all it did was really slow it down a little. So that might happen if something were to, you know, delay their system. We might have a little bit of latency, but because we use our own servers as well, my guys can help correct that latency quickly. So there's lots of bonuses to cloud-based. I totally get the hesitation though, trust me. But yeah, Amazon Web Services is the way to go. We wouldn't
sounds like
anything else.
Okay, all right, that's good information.
Yeah.
I can sell that point.
Yeah, for sure. And if that's not enough to sell them, let me know, and I'm happy to give you some references to some people. We even have people that have come to us from McLeod. So if that's any consolation, McLeod is one of the biggest TMSs out there that you have to pay tons of money for. So for them to come over from a server-based, installed customization, like customized TMS, like that, and be with us for years and years and years, and that speaks volumes to why we are successful.
That sounds like it.
Yeah. So just let me know if you need some references or something like that. We can work that out for you.
No, I think I think they're just like a contact for your sales team.
Yeah.
Just to
I can't even remember the option anymore, but I know his direct extension to my senior account exec, and that's who I want you to talk to anyways. So it's going to be the same number, 813-681-5000. It will have a prompt to go to sales, so that way if he's not around, it'll roll through. But if you want, I would call Randy. His direct extension is 1346. Oh gosh, hold on, let me stop my screen share.
AscendTMS, the logistics software for everyone. To stay up to date with the latest help videos and tutorials for AscendTMS, click that subscribe button. That way you can always be the first to know.